Alex Gavi Gitonga.
My name.
You are a dairy expert of many years, but you are also the former personal assistant to Professor Wangari Maathai,
Yes.
and you worked with her for quite a while. So, in remembrance of the professor, I want to talk to you and give us your perspective uh, of your experiences with the professor, how you remember her, and what, in your own personal opinion, was her contribution to this country. So let's begin at the beginning. How did you meet the professor?
Thank you, Patrick. I think that's a good question. Thank you for having me. My name is Alex Gadi, as you put it. I'm the managing director of Tanolope Consultancy firm. I'm also a USA champion of change. I'm also a certified cow signal trainer. I'm a dairy consultant. We add value to dairy investment. How did I meet the professor? That's a good question. That takes me back about 30, almost 40 years ago. I come from Teto, a place called Digatobero, very neighboring Ihide. Actually, we are neighbors to Professor Wangari Maathai. So when I was a little boy, probably between 6 and 8 years, she used to come to her farm, or her mother's farm, and I could see her in her African gown, and we used to call her Professor because she was the first woman professor in Kenya. So, Prof, she used to say, Wakia Maito, Wakiawa, those are the greetings in Nyeri. And she could put her hand on my head and bless me and tell me you'll one day become a professor, which I'm looking forward to in the coming years, hopefully. So, and her mother, Nina Muta, and my shosho, and also mother to Dr. Gikonyo, they used to take milk to the same place called Cafe Gulia. So it's called Cafe Gulia Dairy. So they had a dairy group. So that's why they used to take milk. And that's how we have come to know one another. And I've seen Professor for quite some time. And so when I was in primary school, I was like, I wish I can become a professor like her. So I was working so hard, and I went to Gatobero Primary School, where I pursued my primary education, passed very well. Went to Shiga Boys High School in Nyeri, passed on very well. And I joined the prestigious University of Nairobi, where I pursued the Bachelor of Science in Food Science and Technology. And Professor used to come to Upper Kabete campus, and she used to give us talks and, encourage us. And since we come from the same village, after her lecture, I used to go there and say, hi, Prof, all those kind of things. And it was good. Sometimes they would come with James Orego, and could have fun and, a little bit of talking.
What were some of the talks that she gave at the university?
She was talking about environmental, how to take care, the effect of climate change, how to take care of the planet Earth, She would encourage us to plant more trees. I remember one of our quote was, planting trees is like planting seeds of peace and hope. So that was very deep and very inspirational.
But sometimes she would come with Professor Orengo. So did they talk about politics also?
It's James Orego, the Honorable James Orego. They would talk about politics. And I remember at some point when we were at the university, she at some point she invited us for the demonstration to fight for Karula Forest. That was the climax of the whole fight for Karula Forest. And we did a very big demonstrations. And the university was closed, but we saved Karula Forest.
Was that when she was attacked by those goons sent by whoever sent them?
Yes, it was the same place when the former president had allocated some plots for private development within Karula Forest. And she was there, she was beaten, she had to go a lot of torment, being tortured and all those things. And she sought our support as university students.
Okay.
which we readily gave her, the whole University of Nairobi. We went to Karula Forest, and we had one of the biggest and the most successful demonstration I've ever seen.
Okay.
So, and thank God that Karula Forest today is already saved, and her dream to see her grandchildren walking there and having fun, you know, and enjoying clean environment has come to be true. And this has been confirmed by Wajira, because Wajira takes the daughters there and they enjoy, even Wajira enjoys, even me, I enjoy jogging there and all those kind of things.
Wangari Maathai, that's her daughter.
Wajira Maathai is her daughter, yes.
So is Wangari pursuing her mother's? Are you still in contact with Wangari?
Wajira, we are great friends. We keep on talking. Hardly a month passes when we hadn't talked. So we keep on talking. I'm very sure the last 3-4 weeks we have talked. There's a project we are doing in Nyeri, so we keep on talking. And we miss our mom, Professor Wangari Maathai.
Right. So after university, then what? How did you end up working for Wangari Maathai?
Oh, that's a good question. After I graduated about 2000 at the university, and I went home, just like anybody else, and I was like, okay, fine. There was a little bit of family matters that demanded that I have to be there at home. So as being the firstborn, I had to be there. And I took care of the family, the tea leaves and all the tea plantation. So it took about 2-3 years. And by 2002, there was election, and the election, and then she was elected the member of parliament for Teto. Her first project was to look for the graduates within Teto constituency, which was convened by Wangari Maathai at Wamagana. And all the graduates who are jobless, we came together, including myself. So we were trained for about 2 days, how to present the CVs, how to do interviews and all those other things. Basic skills of how to do a job search. And it was very good. It was a very good training, of which I stood out from the crowd, and I was among the best, you know. And after some time, Professor Wangari Maathai called me when she was appointed the Assistant Minister for Environment, which the minister was Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. So she was the Deputy Assistant Minister at Maji House, and she needed a personal assistant. I was humbled and honored that she just called me and told me, Alex, come and become my PA. It was a great honor. Coming from the farm to the red carpet. I mean, honestly speaking.
So how did that change your life then?
It was a total transformation. Trust me, I never had even the bus fare to come. I was in my lowest moment in my life. I even never had clothes. My hearts were as hard as they can be having been working on the farm. But she told me, Alex, just come. Then I told her, for me to get that, for me to accept that offer, please give me something, an advance, so that I can get some money to rent a house, you know, buy some good clothes. You know, it was a little bit tough, of which she supported actually. She was a mother, she's a mentor, she's good.
Very good. So now you have left Teto, you have come to Maji House. Describe a day with Professor Maathai as Assistant Minister.
A day with Professor Wangari Maathai, that's a good one. Number one, she's a very serious lady. She's a professor. So being a professor, she is strict. Number two, she's a mother. So she has tender, loving hands. So saa zingine anakuchuna, she'll work on you a little bit because you have to be lined up. But she'll come in the morning, you do the briefing with her, you make the diary for the day, you make the phone calls, you make appointments. Is it in the UN? Is it in Teto constituency? Is it in the ministry? The good thing is that she had an official PA for the ministry. So, and also she had an official PA for the Greenbelt movement. So my docket was mainly for the Teto constituency. And I had to manage the bursary fund, the fuel levy fund, the constituency development fund, what we call the CDF. And CDF was being inaugurated during the same period. That was 2003. Remember, the CDF Act was enacted in 2003. So she called me and gave me the act and told me, Alex, implement this act. So we started from a scratch. So she was able to take me through the act and told me, these are the laws, this is your office in a parliament. And spending a day with her, you start in the morning, you do the brief, she'd do the briefing, what is to be done, and the resources to be allocated. And then if it's going to Teto, you go to Teto, you address, you organize the meetings, you go to Teto, you facilitate the meetings, and you write reports. It was such a huge honor to work with a Nobel laureate.
So during your time with her in the constituency,
Yes.
what were some of the notable or most interesting projects or experiences that you had?
Wow, that's a good one. There are quite a number of them. Some are
Like
good.
maybe if you can remember, yeah, some are good, some are bad.
Yes.
Give us the.
Yeah. I remember her approach was very unique. She was very unique. She never feared thinking. She was open to new ideas. She never wanted to maintain the status quo. She wanted to change the society for the better. And a case in point is when we were implementing the CDF Act. We were managing the CDF Act within Teto constituency. So she introduced the grassroots committees, what we used to call as sub-CDCs, those committees within the sub-locations. And she was able to do the bottom-up approach for project identification. And this was very unique, actually, for the country, because nobody else was doing that. We were able to identify the projects. The community was able to do what we call project ownership. And we were able even to finance some projects that were outside the Act through her innovative ways. And I also supported her because I was the project coordinator. And through that, Teto constituency was ranked the best CDF managed in the country in 2003. And that to me was a very good achievement.
Okay.
Yes. And I can give you more stories. I remember one day she loved sweet bananas, those small sweet bananas. We call them the sweet bananas. So I love giving this story of sweet banana. I call it the sweet banana story. So this time we were in Gishira, within Teto constituency in Nyeri County. We had gone to inspect the projects there. And then she saw some very sweet bananas there. Very nice. By the way, they are very nice and sweet. So she bought some bunches, about 3-4 bunches. And we had not taken lunch, so we could do a whole day without lunch because she was very hardworking. So she bought the bananas. And there was another lady in the car, her name is Wageshi, from Teto. So we used to go with her. So the bananas are there and we are hungry. So Wageshi ate 2 bananas and Alex ate 2 bananas. So out of her 3-4 bunches, 4 bananas are not there. And that was, she was not very happy with that. And almost everybody in the Greenbelt and almost everybody in our office came to know that Alex and Wageshi ate the sweet bananas.
Maybe they were for her grandchildren.
Most likely, yes. Yeah, but the sweet banana story I always regards in my mind. But she had no hard feelings.
Yes.
From that day, we were very disciplined. Whatever she bought, is it sugar cane or whatever it was, we made sure that it was intact. And that is the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Don't eat your boss foods.
Yes.
What is for your boss is for your boss.
Yes.
Yes.
Very well. So you must have been with her when she was informed that she won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
Do you remember how that experience was?
Yes, that's one of my best days in life. Actually, very good memories, very sweet memories. We were going to Teto just to serve our people. We were going to Ihororo, a place called Ihororo in Teto, Mohoyas. There was a meeting, a very big meeting for water project. So as we were heading to Nyeri, at a place called Marwa, I was called by the Norwegian ambassador. I had my first phone, a Sagem 3020. Actually, if you see that photo, you see that my phone. So she called
The
me.
photo where Wangari Maathai is talking to
The Norwegian ambassador.
Norwegian ambassador. Oh, you took a photo of her.
Yes.
Yeah, as she received the news that she had won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
So she got the news on your Sagem 3020.
3020 was my. It was a blessed phone. Actually, I should have kept it as a souvenir. Actually,
you should have. You could have sold it. For big money.
For a fortune, actually. So I was called by the Norwegian ambassador and told me, could I speak? We have good news for Professor Wangari Maathai. Could I speak to Mrs. Maathai? And I gave her the phone, and within the car, we were driving. But then she was not driving very expensive cars. RAV4, Nissan Alvan van, Land Rovers, those were her cars. So we were in those Nissan Alvan van towards moving towards Nyeri. And then she started now talking to the Norwegian ambassador. And then she was like, what? My God, I've won Nobel Peace Prize. She screamed. She shed tears.
She was excited.
She was excited. I think I'm among the very few people who have seen Prof getting to those levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those seen her in her, happiest
moment.
Yes.
I doubt even Wajira has seen her screaming to those levels.
Wajira, the daughter.
Yes, because she was screaming and she was shedding tears, and she was she was erratic, sort of. She was,
Right.
Yes.
So the Norwegian ambassador was trying to explain to her that you have won this prize,
and she should be expecting a call from the Nobel Institute in Oslo.
Yes.
To confirm the same.
Yes.
So it was a great moment. And
so when did the institute call? In a short while?
In a short while they did. Probably in another 1 minute or two they called.
Oh, after the ambassador?
Yes. And that time now they called using her phone, because now it was on, it was available.
Yes.
And now it was confirmed that she was the Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Right.
2004.
Right.
And it was great news. And everybody else in the car celebrated, the driver, the bodyguard. There was another friend there, I think she was called Maya, if I remember her name, who was doing her biography. And we were all happy, and we had to manage the celebrity title now.
What time of the day was this?
It was around probably 10.
10 in the morning?
Between 10 and 11, thereabout.
And you were driving from Nairobi to, you were at Marwa?
Yes, we were at Marwa, yes.
And you were driving to the constituency?
Yes.
So did you continue with the rest of the day as you had planned?
Now we had to manage the new normal. Yes. Because now we have become the prize winner. Prof had become the prize winner, and instead of going to Ihororo, she had insisted that we go to Ihororo. But myself being the PA, I said, no, Prof, let's not go to Ihororo. Please, let's go to Outspan, where we can be able to refresh and probably take some calls and, and manage our excitement and all those things. She was really insisting that we go to Teto, because she was saying, I've won this prize because of serving my people. So, Alex, why shouldn't I not go to Ihororo and meet the community there and discuss the water issues? So she was still committed to serving her people. She
still wanted to go on with business as normal.
Yes.
But you told her you cannot operate normally anymore.
Yes.
Because things are now abnormal.
These are abnormal right now. So we have to manage the new normal. And in fact, the whole of Outspan Hotel was jammed with calls from all over. Kofi Annan, Clinton, Billy Clinton. Everybody in the world called, all the presidents called, even President Kibaki called, and actually he sent even a chopper to pick us from there. He sent a military chopper. So it was huge excitement. But then for us to remember that, being a PA, you have to be innovative, you have to be creative. So I told the manager of Outspan Hotel, Mr. Kariuki, let's plant a tree so that we remember this day. We planted a tree at Outspan Hotel Nyeri to commemorate the Nobel Peace Prize.
On that day?
Yes, and that tree is still there. It's marked. And I feel very proud that I gave that idea.
Very good. So now President Kibaki calls and he sends you a military chopper.
Yes.
And then what followed?
Now you can imagine we had a lot of dust, so we had to dust ourselves and get to the chopper, get to Nairobi. We dropped at Wilson Airport. We were picked by presidential escort, came straight to the State House, Nairobi. I think that was my first time at State House. So I could have joined her to go and dine with the president and talk to the president. But because of protocols and respect I had for Prof, I let her inside, to go inside and talk to the president. Probably that was a missed opportunity. You know, a golden opportunity happens once. So I could have sat with the president, Kibaki, and we talk and probably ask a few questions. I remind him how he did some very good things for Chiga Boys High School when he was a Minister for Finance and Health, you know those kind of things. But I missed that opportunity. So that is a missed opportunity. And a golden opportunity happens once. Then Wajira came in, joined her in the president, and it was a good day. It was a good
Then
day.
from there now, you obviously, you couldn't go on with business no more. You had to go and prepare to receive the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
There are all these international... I'm just trying to get a picture. Maybe you can give me a picture of how her life changed after that phone call. Or it didn't change at all. Did she remain? I'm sure there are some changes.
For me, Prof never changed. It's only that her diary changed.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Prof remained the same. She was very consistent. She believed in serving people. Yeah? I remember at some point she was telling us, there comes a time when humanity is called to higher level of consciousness, and that time is now. So Professor Wangari Maathai was such a person that she could not get excited with big names, big titles, big meetings. She could cancel a UN meeting where she was going to maybe Geneva and go to a meeting in Teto. That's how humble she was. She was a down-to-earth lady. I mean, she was so humble. She had a golden heart. I remember at some point we were in Teto and we had gone to visit her aunt, Auntie Nyakwea, whom we are neighbors, so we call her Shosho Agonini. And Shosho Agonini, by the way, I remember her because she was giving us traditional uji, porridge, which is Oshoroa Mukio. I don't know where that uji went because I don't find it these days. Oshoroa Mukio. And she could enjoy drinking that traditional porridge, taking domas and gouaches and, in that mud house, comfortably with the smoke inside. And in a few minutes, in a few hours, we are there at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. She's leaving for the US. In another few hours, she's dining with Oprah Winfrey and getting a check of $1 million.
And just a few hours before, she was deep in Teto in a mud house drinking Oshoroa Mukio.
Yes, drinking Oshoroa Mukio, domas, gouaches, with shosho, with no shoes. I mean, that is the kind of a lady Professor Wangari Maathai was. She could interact with the kings and the queens and also with the grassroots people.
Give me a picture of how she mobilized for things to happen from the ground up.
That's a good question. That was our approach.
I want to see the details.
Let's say
paint for us a picture of how she got things done.
Yes.
For example, if she wanted to prevent a forest from being grabbed, or if she wanted to get trees to be planted.
Let's take a case in point at Westland. There's a wetland in Westland, yeah, just very near Air Center thereabout, in Kilimani there. So that issue, she could start with the assistant chief and chief. She started from the ground.
Now let me see this wetland. Which one exactly is it?
There is a grabbed wetland in Kilimani as you drop from the Yaya Center.
Yes.
Towards where? Towards Westlands.
Yes.
Yeah. There's even a signboard there. So she could start the issue from the grassroots. She could start with the assistant chief and the group there, the Nyubakumi, you know, and then the chief and the DO. She could write letters to all of them. And then if that didn't work, she goes to the DC. If that doesn't work, she goes to the PC. That seems not to be working. Then she goes to the PS and the minister. At some point now, if things are not working, then she goes to the president and writes a letter to the president about this grabbed plot in Westlands. If that doesn't work, then she takes that a notch higher and takes it to the UNEP. And probably you may find the same issue in the UN. And she'll be reporting that at the UN that I have done this and this and this and that. So she was able to exhaust.
So she would start from literally the village level.
Yes.
She would start by trying to solve the problem at the village level.
Yes.
If she succeeds, well and good.
Yes.
If she fails, she escalates.
Yes.
So she would go step by step all the way to the UN headquarters in New York.
Yes.
From the village.
Yes.
Ah.
And that to me was very unique. I learned a lot from that. Even if you have power, don't start from the top. Start from the ground. Because at the end of the day, you're looking for a solution. Probably you'll get it at the DO level, or the DC, or the PC, or the minister, or the president. But if it fails, then you escalate it to the next level.
Ground up development.
Yes. Bottom up approach.
Bottom up approach.
Yes.
And during her 5 years, the 5 years that you worked with her, what is the one thing that she taught you that you remember? What is your favorite memory of Wangari Maathai?
Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. Number one is that bottom-up approach. Number two is the participatory approach. You make people own what you are doing for them. There is project ownership. Yeah, you involve people. People know what they want as solutions. So don't impose things to them. Talk to them, interact with them, dialogue with them, and you'll be able to come up with solutions to their problems. A very unique concept I learned from Professor, and I remember at some point she told me, Alex, she asked me this question, Alex, what is development? What is development? What is economic growth and what is the difference between economic growth and economic development? Economic growth is the GDP, GNP, per capita consumption, those big economic jargons. But to Professor Wangari Maathai, she wanted economic development. Economic development is where you look at the indicators of poverty. This could be the basic needs, the food, the clothing, the shelter, and those other amenities like the health. Then you address those ones.
So, according to the prof, there was a difference between economic growth and economic development.
Yes.
Please elaborate.
Economic growth is where you talk about gross domestic product, those growth percentages, and probably you take the whole wealth and you divide by the population. So that does not show the equitable distribution of wealth. And the prof was very, very, very keen on the equitable distribution of wealth, resources for that matter. So she was looking at what are the indicators of poverty. I remember her telling me about the jiggers, the fleas, those bed bugs, tattered clothes, mud house, those are indicators of poverty. So if we can work on the indicators of poverty and eliminate them from our society, that will be economic development. But if we work the other way with economic growth, that means you're looking at the whole economy. 40 people can own 70% of our economy, or even 90%.
While 40 million people have nothing.
While 40 million people have nothing. So probably she was echoing the words of J.M. Kariuki, where we have 10 millionaires and 10 million poor people. So probably today we could be saying 50 billionaires and 50 million poor people. So if her concept was well adapted, and probably it should, economic development is the way to develop this country. It's not the economic growth, because economic growth does not measure the distribution of wealth to the rest of the population.
Very good. Now, so you were with her for 5 years,
Yes.
2003 and 2008,
Yes.
until she lost re-election.
Yes.
She was not re-elected.
Yes.
Why do you think that is so? Why did her constituents fail to re-elect a Nobel Prize winner back into office?
That remains my question. Up to date, nobody has answered that question, because honestly speaking, we had done the best for Teto people. We were rated the best CDF in the country out of the 271 constituencies. She had a bottom top approach. She had well managed funds, other funds, the bursary fund and anything else. So I wouldn't see any reason why she should not have been elected. Re-elected for that matter. So probably that we need civic education for our masses, for our for our voters, so that they know the caliber of leaders that they should be re-electing, honestly speaking. Otherwise, it's like it's a revenge. You never gave us handouts. You never gave us opportunities to eat the CDF money or any other funds. So,
of course, for Wangari Maathai, it was impossible.
She was free from corruption. She was a lady of integrity. So she could not allow any corruption to be near her or near the CDF or the Teto office.
And that is why she was not re-elected.
Yes.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, and probably we need to educate our people. And in any case, in Teto, that has been the trend. No MP has ever been there, has never been re-elected.
No MP has served more than one term.
Yes.
One term.
Yes, whether it's Walolu Kaja, whether it's Kanyi Waithaka, whether it's Wangari Maathai, FT Nyamu, Dongo Gedeji, all of them have been serving one term.
And then they go home.
I think that's an area. And that brings me to a point that Prof talked about at some point. And I remember she told me about the healing process. She talked about the areas where there was the struggle for independence. And she was very keen that we need to do the briefing for those communities, because they went through so much atrocities and torture and bad things that probably are harbored within their hearts and their minds. So Professor Wangari Maathai would have wished that a certain system is there for the briefing of communities, especially in central Kenya and other areas within Kenya that went through the struggle. The Samoi, Koitalela, Samoi, Taita, central Kenya, the Dedan Kimathis, and, those regions where the struggle was very vibrant and very strong. Those communities needed to heal so that they are able now to become conscious of their lives. Another issue that she was very passionate about is having a Massachusetts Institute in Teto. And probably this is a dream that we need to pursue.
What do you mean by Massachusetts?
She was telling me, I've never been to the US, but she was telling me that Massachusetts, I hope I've pronounced that right, Massachusetts Institute in the US of technology is a hands-on institute.
MIT.
Yes. And she wanted to convert even Hither Technical to become a Massachusetts of Kenya, Institute of Kenya. So probably that is something we need to pursue. Even where her parents had land, probably the government or even other people can buy that land, and we put up Massachusetts, a replica of Massachusetts Institute in that area.
As Minister for Environment,
yes.
What did she achieve?
That's a good question. Number one, she was not the boss. The boss was Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, so she was answerable to the minister. But in her own light, and by the fact that she had very strong roots in the environment under the Greenbelt movement, she was able to plant 30 million trees under the Greenbelt movement. And when she became the minister, she was able to articulate some policies, including the Shabbat System. she was able to advise the government to walk away from the Shabbat system.
Why? The Shabbat system, I remember, was one of the things that made her a little unpopular with the people.
Yes, the Shabbat system, number one, it interferes with the ecosystem. Yeah? And the farmers were cutting trees as they plow for their maize and potatoes and other things in the farm. So you could find out of 100 trees, 50 of them have been cut. So that bringing down the deforestation program, making it not succeed. So she was very much against the Shabbat system, the soil erosion, yeah, the disruption of the ecosystem within the water towers. So she was, for the conservation of the water towers, she was very strict. I remember at some point she said this, the problem, the generation that destroys the forests is not the generation that will pay the price. That's the problem today. Yes. So she was that passionate about environment. She was an environmentalist, an environmental and human rights crusader.
So, so you believe the Shabbat system policy, was it revoked?
It was. It was. Currently is not working. Okay. And that was a success of advocacy. And yes.
What about on the constituency level?
At the constituency level, we were able to put up the roads. Right now, there was the road that was done from Giakaja all the way to Ihithe up to Outspan. That road was lobbied by her. It was Class D, so she lobbied it to become Class C. And through that lobbying, she was also able to put it when the Honorable Aila was the Minister for Roads. It was listed as some of the roads to be tarmacked. Thank God, today is tarmacked. And that is a road I'm really appealing, even to the county government of Nyeri, to name after her. Because honestly speaking, she has done a lot of very great things. That road from Giakaja, Ihithe, you know, Wadobi up to Monugaine up to Outspan should be named Wangari Maathai Highway or road in remembrance of her, because she did some very good things for us.
Very good. When did we lose the professor?
In terms of passing on? Yeah, okay. It was a little bit unfortunate because she had been very vibrant all along. At some point I could go with her to the hospital, Karen Hospital or Nairobi Hospital. Sometimes we could go and see Dr. Gikonyo, sometimes we could go and see Dr. Githai Nyeri. So she has been very healthy all along. But all of a sudden she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And that was about, I think, 2010. So it was diagnosed a little bit late because you can't know some of these cancers. And she was hospitalized. And after some time, on and off, within a very short time, she was gone. It was a little bit painful, actually.
I remember she refused treatment.
I would say yes and no, in the sense that although that is what we call patient confidentiality, but you know, it was a little bit late. It was getting diagnosed at a late stage. It's almost obvious that when cancer is diagnosed as late stages, the chances of getting well are very minimal.
So how should we remember?
Good question. How should we remember Professor Wangari Maathai? In my own view, we need to celebrate Professor Wangari Maathai in a big way. If you look world over, go to France, go to US and other countries in the world, schools are named after Wangari Maathai, streets are named after Wangari Maathai. You go to Ohio University, you'll find a statue of Wangari Maathai. I want to congratulate the former governor for Nairobi, Dr. Evans Kidero, because he named Forest Road after Wangari Maathai. I've also seen another road near Thika, near De La Monte. It's called Wangari Maathai Road. So we need to have more of those. Like now the roads I've just talked about, we need to have more schools, even probably Katobero Primary School to be named after Wangari Maathai is very near where she was born, or either primary school, or any other school in Kenya could be named after Wangari Maathai. We have seen Barack Obama Primary School, Barack Obama Secondary School. So we need to see more of those schools so that they inspire students to become like Wangari Maathai. More roads, more, we need to have a memorial museum for her, probably in Tetu, like the one we are putting for Dedan Kimathi. So we need to see statues of Wangari all over. We need to do Wangari Maathai International Half Marathon for the conservation of the water towers, probably the Aberdare ecosystem, or Mount Kenya ecosystem, or even Mau ecosystem. So we need to keep her alive and her dreams and aspirations alive through all these activities. We need to have Wangari Maathai Institute. Okay, we have one at the university, but now she talked about Massachusetts Institute, a replica of Massachusetts Institute. We need to have something like that.
Okay, well, Mr. Gitonga, it's been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you. It has been.
Thank you very much for reminding us of this great lady called Professor Dr. Wangari Maathai.
Thank you.
She is an inspiration to young girls everywhere.
Yes.
But also to young men as well, because she was a top leader.
Excellent. I want to declare you as a hummingbird because you have brought this discussion. Remember the story of the hummingbird, which Professor Wangari Maathai has always been remembered for. Please continue being the hummingbird.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.